So today we're going to do the square root of a negative number, and you just said negative number. You thought you couldn't until now. Do you want? You have to turn your body over and drink from the opposite side. Okay. The square root of a negative number property. If we have, I'm going to summarize what this is saying here. The square root of negative 1, because it is not a real number, and because we still need this to solve things, people made up something to write this. Okay? Because this is not a real number, this to do real, anybody, in order to make outlets work, yeah. But this is non-college degree stuff. This is a high school diploma stuff. The square root of negative 1 is I, which stands for imaginary. Okay? Yeah. It's not a real number, so we have decided this is going to be represented by I. Anytime I have a square root of negative 1, it will be I. Square root of negative 1, yes. So if I have something like the square root of negative 1 and I square it, should be negative 1, yeah. Or if I substitute it, if I have I squared, that's negative 1. So they have some examples. I'm going to do an example right over here. I'm going to just walk you through it. Part into 2 square roots. I'm going to break that apart into 2 factors. I'm going to break it apart to the square root of negative 1 and the square root of 3. Because negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And then you all are going to tell me what is the square root of negative 1. I, and square root of 3 doesn't have one, so I write square root of 3. That's what they have written right here. Okay? We now know imaginary numbers. Well, now we're going to do stuff with them. So example 1, square root of negative 25. First thing I'm going to do, to negative 1 and 25. Square root of negative 1 and square root of negative. That's I. What is the square root of 25, Abney? 5. So my answer is 5I. You always write the number in front of a letter. They're multiplied together.
So have to do a cursive I.
Yeah. Cursive I. Okay, for 72, the first thing I would think would be square root of negative 1 and square root of thing I would think. Except 72 can break down further. Bigger perfect square than 9. What goes into 72? Bigger than 9. That's not a perfect square. It's got to be a perfect square. 16. 32 doesn't matter. 36. Let's just yell out random numbers until she says yes. Okay, so 36 goes into 72 2 times, and this 36 comes from like doing a bunch of examples with the teacher and then doing your own assignments. You'll eventually remember that. Okay, so now I'm going to break this down. I'm going to say, what is the square root of negative 1? What is the square root of 36? And then square root of 2 we can't do anything with. So I'm just going to correctly write these in order. It goes number first, then the I, then the square root. And they're all multiplied together. I don't have to write the times symbols. Okay, so this one, we've got a -5, then we've got square root of -9, which I'm going to pull apart to be square root of -1 and square root of 9. So -5 times what is the square root of -1? I. And what's the square root of 9? So now multiply together that -5 and that 3. There you go. Question? Yes, I don't know why I didn't write the negative. Sorry. -59. Okay, and then there's some more student practices, but I want to make sure we get something of everything done today so I can get through all these notes, and then you'll have all of tomorrow to work on your assignment. A little bit of vocabulary is complex number. Complex number is written in standard form as A plus BI. It says it right here. A plus BI. This is any number you could ever come up with in life ever. This is the biggest set of numbers that we have. Complex numbers. A is the real part, and BI is the imaginary part. We have a real part and an imaginary part. If I have a number like 5, what? Did you say something? Okay, if I have a number like 5, this is a complex number if we write it in the form of 5 plus 0i. 0i mean? No imaginary. It's just a real part. Or if I have the number 3i, that can be written in complex form, like 0 plus 3i, which means there's no real part, just an imaginary part. Or I can have 6 minus 2i, which has a real part and an imaginary part together. So these are complex numbers. These make up all the numbers that you could ever study, ever. This part is the part that for some reason is so dang easy, and every year there's some people that just never learn it and mess it up on everything. It is so easy. This is so easy. But, you know, people like that are talking right now are going to have a million questions later. It's so easy, though. Find the values of x and y that satisfy this equation. We have 2x minus 7i equals 10 plus yi. Where's my real parts?
The 2x and the 10.
The 2x and the 10. See that equal sign? They have to be equal. So what's x equal? How about my imaginary parts?
Your imaginary parts are 7i and yi.
What are they, Martin?
7i and
Negative
negative 7i.
and yi. Now I need to solve for y. I need you to tell me what y equals to make this true. Not 1. What number can I put in here so they are the same? Negative 7. Oops. I don't know why people have trouble with these every year, with the exception of just like zoning out or looking at. Let's do this one right here. Let's talk about the real stuff. What? X equals 9. That's done. You think? What's the imaginary part? 3i equals negative yi. What is it, Bryce? Negative 3 is correct. You can solve that if you can't look at it and figure it out. You can solve it. I could take both sides of the equation and I could divide both sides by a negative and an I. We divide both sides by a negative and an I. That'll cancel out the I and the negative. leaving me with leaving me with y. And on the other side, that would cancel out the I, and I would have to divide 3 by a negative number, which would leave me with -3. One more. Where's my real stuff for number 6? 9, -2x. Divide both sides by -2. What is x? It is -9/2, or -4.5. In maths, we've got 4yi equals 3i. If you need to solve it, that's divide by the stuff that is not y. So I'm going to divide by 4 and I. I'm left with y equals, well, what happens to I divided by I? So 3/4. Fingers crossed, I gave you a million of those in your assignment because I'm so sick of people not knowing how to do those. So this year you're going to know how to do them. That's just from your previous peers not knowing how to do them. All right, next, sum and difference of complex numbers. If we're going to add or we're going to subtract complex numbers, you can only add real stuff with real stuff. You can only add imaginary stuff with imaginary stuff. Like terms. Think about like terms here. Like terms. The real stays with the real. If I have 8 minus I plus 5 plus 4i, if I'm addition, do I have to change any signs? No. So do I need these parentheses? I do not. I can add it this way. Can add it. What's this direction? Horizontally by combining like terms, or we can reorder it vertically if you want. You do not have to do what I'm doing right now, but you can reorder it vertically so that the same parts are in lines. What is 8 plus 5?
8 plus 5 is 13.
What is a -1i plus a 4i?
3i.
Plus 3i. The order should be A plus BI. The order should be real, then imaginary when you're done. I need to get her a cup. All right, so this next one, we've got 7 minus 6i, subtract 3 minus 6i. So this subtraction in the middle, is that going to change signs?
Yes.
So I need to take this and subtract everything in my parenthesis. I'm going to have 7 minus 6i, and then I'm going to have a -3, and I'm going to have a positive 6i. We can combine our like terms.
Oh, I got this. It's 4 plus 0i.
So it says to write the answer in standard form. So this would be correct in standard form. However, if we were simplifying it all the way, it would just be 4. Okay?
So you have to write 0i.
You know, you're doing this one on big ideas, so I'll have to go look and see if the directions say in standard form. But, you know, you'll have a few checks. Oh, shoot. I think I gave you 0 checks. I might have to edit it before anybody starts. Don't start it.
I actually
Oh, no.
No. I opened it. Is that finished?
Nah. I'll see if I can still edit it. I might have to again. All right. This one here. To get rid of my parentheses, do I have to change? The subtraction in front of the parentheses means change these signs. So I'm going to have 13 minus 2 minus 7i plus 5i. So if you like doing it vertically, then I would put 13 over the minus 2, and I would put minus 7i plus 5i. If you like doing it vertically, you can do it horizontally. However, terms, what do my real parts give me? 11 minus 2i. Again, the real number comes first. Okay. What?
Example 4 is not on the screen.
What?
Example 4.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah?
Example 4.
Oh, here it is. Sorry, I just didn't move it up high enough. I didn't know what you were asking. Okay, so now we're on example 4, that is multiply. So here I am going to multiply. Oh, and then it says write the answer in standard form. That means the answer should be A plus BI. That means your answers should only have 2 terms. So when you're done, if you have more than 2 terms, something's either not done or you've messed up. 2 terms for these answers. How do I multiply when I have a number in front of a binomial?
You
Distribute. So I'm going to have 4, and I can even write it out if you want me to. 4i times 6 plus 4i times I. All right? Oh, it is negative. Thank you. So what is 4i times negative 6? Negative 24i. Now here's the tricky part. 4i squared. That's not the tricky part. Here's the tricky part. On the front page, you don't have to go back. I'll go back. On the front page, there was this other thing. When I told you the square root of negative 1 is I also told you that I squared equals 1. So anytime we have I squared, you need to negative 1. I squared, you need to put hold up in place for I squared, yes. So I'm going to have negative 24i plus 4 times negative 1. These will multiply together, and I will get negative 24i minus 4. Is this in standard form? What's wrong? It is not because of a minus sign. It's because the real part has to come first. The I comes last. So I just have to switch the order here. So I'll have negative 4 minus 24i. Question.
How's the negative? Oh, no.
It's okay. Sometimes you just have to say it to figure it out. So let's look at the next one. How will we multiply 2 binomials times 2 binomials? So your options are FOIL, or if you want you to use the method you prefer. I haven't done the FOIL method in a while, so I'm going to use the FOIL method this time. But if you like the box method, go ahead and do that and see that we get the same answer. So the FOIL method, I take 9 times negative 4, I get negative 6. 9 times 7i, I get 63i. Negative 5 times negative 4, I get positive 8i. Negative 2 times negative 7 is negative 14i squared. So if you're doing the box method, you should have those 4 things in your box. From there, we combine like terms, and I have negative 36, or you might have negative 36 plus, I don't know, 71i minus 14i squared.
Minus 14 in parentheses.
That's my next step. Thank you, Martin. So then I look, I have to have 2 terms, so there's got to be something I still need to do. I squared is negative 1. So my next step is going to be negative 36 plus 71i minus 14 times negative 1. So negative 36 plus 71i plus 14. One last step. Combine these like terms, negative 36 plus 14.
Minus 36
Negative 22 plus 7i. Make sure you have the imaginary part second.
Is it not 71?
Oh my gosh, I just forgot to copy it from here and then I copied wrong from there. Thank you. That's why I keep you guys around, so you can, like, you know, correct me. Oh. You just scared me. Go find a cup somewhere. It's an experiment, I'm telling you. I don't have a cup though. I don't know where to find one. All right. I want you to try number 9. Just do the first step of number 9, just to make sure we don't do a bunch of it wrong and then like spend 5 minutes doing it wrong. Just do the first step of 9. First step of 9.
Oh, shoot, wait.
I'm now going to do the first step of 9. Then do it. Don't look. I'm not saying anything. Just
Okay, good.
do it. Okay, I did the first step. Did you do the first step? What? Yeah. Okay, what I have students do wrong is rush. We just got done doing a question where you use either the FOIL method or the box method, and I guarantee somebody in this room just tried to do the box method or tried this. You don't have to say who you are. But this is going back a page. You look between these two binomials, this is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 8 and add the 2i. Then from here, we just combine like terms. So like 3 plus 7i combines with negative 8 plus 2i. I get negative 5 plus 9i. Okay, you just have to make sure you're doing the correct operation. I cannot tell you how many people messed that up in the past due to rushing and not paying attention. How about number 11? Try it. You did the box method on 9.
Yeah, but I switched to signs.
We're not multiplying.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying people did wrong. Is don't multiply. Because subtraction sign, no subtraction sign. So this would mean multiplication, right? This means subtract. You have to look at that sign. Multiply, yep. All right, so for number 11, I multiplied and I got 30i squared. I squared is negative 1, so I got 30. And then it does say write in standard form, so I added on no imaginaries at the end. How about 13? Nah, let's do 12. Number 12 and then do 13. We've got time. I thought we could fly through these. Thank you.
what are we doing now?
12 and 13. So this is real, this is imaginary. You can't combine. What? Say it again? Yeah, you did it right so far. Yeah, you're on the right track. We're doing 12 and 13. So if you didn't do 12 yet, we're doing 12 and 13.
Yeah.
wait, what?
It's the first time I'm doing it today.
No, what's the, like, wait, what's wrong with
There's just no parentheses.
Okay.
Oh, is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
I added it up there. She didn't make the cut. Oh, so we're distributing them. Do you like the box method or you like the FOIL method? Which one do you like? All right, here's 12. I times 8 is 8i. I times negative I is negative I squared. What do I know about I squared? So now I have 8i minus negative 1. So I have 8i plus 1. Is that my answer? Sophia? What?
I said it's 1 plus 8.
It is 1 plus 8i. Because we're writing it in standard form, you put the real part first. Good job. Okay, number 13. You can do this by the FOIL method, or you can use a box to do this. But I do know to multiply because I look in the middle, and that says multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times negative I is negative 3i. 1 times 5 is 5i. I times negative I is negative I squared. So I have 15 plus 2i minus I squared. So 15 plus 2i minus negative 1. 16 plus 2i. Questions? Martin, questions?
Wait.
Martin, did you do the box method or FOIL?
I did it incorrectly, so I'm redoing the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Just do the box.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with you guys doing the box method. I teach pre-calc,
No, I don't like
and in pre-calc, we start having, you guys can see some trigonometry on the board over there with sine squared and 1 minus cosine squared and stuff like that. When we do pre-calc, we don't really have time to pull out the box method. That's why I want to make sure you've seen both methods. It's totally fine to do the box method. It's just, you don't see a lot of that in higher level math. All right, example 5, almost done. Look, we're almost done. This is the last page, almost done. How do we solve this? Take away 4. X squared equals negative 4. How do I solve this? Okay, but there's this rule that your teacher talked about last time. No, that's not the rule, because that is true, but that I did talk about. However, that's not the rule anymore. We can do it now. When we square root, we're not going to just get one answer. You have to have a plus or a minus answer. You're always going to get 2 answers. So I have x equals plus or minus square root of negative 4. But now today, guess what? You can go further today. We can find, there's no real answer, but you can find the imaginary answers. So I would separate this to be square root of negative 1 and square root of 4. So I'm going to get plus minus. What does my square root of negative 1 become? I. And what does my 4 become? Square root of 4. 2. So plus minus 2i will be my 2 answers.
Also minus 2i.
Yep. Yes, Chris? I do that anytime I have more than one answer. A plus and a minus answer here. All right, B. What am I going to do first?
Plus 11.
Add the 11.
Yeah, I did that. 36.
What should I do now?
Square, no, divide by 2 is what's right.
Divide by 2. Get an x squared. Let me go over here. I'm going to run out of space. X squared equals 18. Now what should I do?
Square root both sides.
Okay, but if I square root,
Plus or minus.
I also need a plus or minus, and I need you guys to like actively participate with that because I need you to remember this. Is that our answer?
No, you have to go through the imaginary root.
Okay, so we're going to separate this to -1 and 18. So once I square root -1 and make that I, is that going to be my answer?
No, you have to break down 18 to 9 and 2. Or
Okay.
18 and 1.
Do you hear what Martin's saying?
9 and 2.
18 breaks down further, but it has to be a perfect square that goes into 18. So the 9 becomes a 3, the square root of 2 stays. So I'm like connecting all of this stuff with the plus or minus.
So 3i and
X equals plus or minus
2 square
3i.
root of
3i square root of 2. Yes. Was that you, Rachel? Yeah. Nope. Too late. 20. Let's look at number 20.
Wait, so is it
Who's asking a question? I put the answer back up there.
Thank you. I'm good.
Okay. Let's look at 20. Find the zeros. What'd you say?
Make f of x 0.
We say 0 equals x squared plus 7. What can we do, Bryce? What can we do to solve it? We can do that, but I don't think it's going to give us an answer. I'm on number 20.
Example.
I was looking at example 6.
Oh, I skipped that one. We'll go do that one next. I don't know why I missed it because all my writing was right there. My bad. I'll go do that one in a second. This is the same question, though. What should I do? Maribel. Maribel, what should I do right here? Subtract the 7. So I'm going to subtract the 7. I'm going to get -7 equals x squared. Juan, what should I do? Okay, but there's something more I got to do. Plus minus when I square root it. So I'm going to have x equals plus minus square root 7. Nope, square root -7. Dakota, can I leave it as square root -7? I do. Well, can I leave the negative underneath?
Break it down.
When I break it down, I have square -1. I don't know. So my two answers would be plus minus 7. Let me go back up to example 6, which I skipped. Sorry. I mean, these are all switches. Skipped.
You said it's 7.
I square root 7. All right. Chloe. Chloe, what should I do first when I'm finding the zero? Before that.
Oh,
Make f of x 0. So I have 0 equals 4x squared plus 20. Now, Bryce and Chloe already told me subtract 20. So you guys obviously know what to do. Negative 20 equals 4x squared. Dylan, what should I do? Divide by 4, both sides by 4. I have x squared equals negative 5. Jessica, what should I do? Thank you. I didn't even have to ask. Good job. So now we have x equals plus minus square root negative 5. Is this good enough as is? Break it down. Okay? We're going to break it down. And Noelle, do you know what's going to come first? Well, it will be, but before it's an I. Negative 1, right? And then square root of 5, so then that negative 1 becomes what? Plus minus I square root 5.
We really have to do the 1 and the 5.
Yeah, you do.
What?
You have to show that.
What one? Oh, this? Oh, so your assignment is on big ideas. But why would I be taking the time to show you this every single time if I didn't feel like it was worth your effort and worth your time to do that?
Well, like, let's say you already know the outcome. Like,
Your assignment's on big ideas. So you do not have to show me this work. Okay? You guys also do not have to complete the entire assignment. I'm not going to do every single one of these. They're pretty much the same. You do not have to complete the entire assignment in one class period either. And then you just have to have it done by block day. So you have tomorrow to work on it. Okay? It's like an easy day, hopefully. You have all your notes with you. You work on it in class tomorrow. If you'd like to start ahead, you can. I can fix. Have to go fix that. So if you start the second, you might be in trouble. I don't have any checks. I forgot to add that in. So I'm going to go try to fix. Oh, Simrat logged in too. Okay, you guys.
Yeah.
Because 2 of you logged in by accident, I have to like totally redo the whole thing. So it'll take me a moment. Don't start it right now. I mean, we have 4 minutes for class. Don't start it right now because I have to go back in and give you checks. I'm sure it was accidents.
This is a whole vacuum.
You're welcome. I have a mirror too now.
Yeah, I saw it.
It just needs to get hung on the wall. I know. No, I'm short too, so I get it. Thank you.
Minecraft on the projector. Actually, it might be cheaper though.
Okay, I'm putting in checks for you guys. You'll have 3 checks.
Sorry. Should I sit on that?
All Anna's fish. And how much is this? You got a bowl? It just sits kind of pocket. I have
Yeah.
We'll all be at each other's wedding someday. I'm getting married on
Yeah, next time I gotta go.
I'm getting a wedding, I'm not inviting anybody.
You want to destroy me, kids?
Screwing me. You feel underpowered? You are, you're sophomore. Here's the hierarchy of this school. Freshman, sophomore, junior, I hate it. It's so dull. It's literally so dull. Yeah, that's It's got an Android. It's dull. So when I'm playing, imagine you saying shit that's like blaring. Okay, no one really calls on Snapchat.
Have a great day.
No. Like I know what it is. Money and pick it up. Take your eyeball off. You know, one thing I recommend to everyone who's a junior is to make is to not a minus 19 on the quiz. Yeah, we had a chemistry test that day. I think. Like, I swear I'm smart. Like I have a good grade in this class all the time. Last quarter though, no. I was really close to last year. Honestly, the phone, right?
Be number 1. Okay. Because it was on Big Ideas, so should already have. Hello? Hi. Uh-huh. Hello? Hello? a failing grade on her last test. It's just that test, but that was in last quarter. It was already.
You guys can't add 5.
What number are you sitting on? Not my number, I'm sorry.
We don't really need it.
Jacob, I thought you were studying East.
Study. That's just a year.
Okay. Yeah, she has not been able to kids. Like she hasn't done
The only point is, do you? Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's like a dean of like
That's racist. I'm Japanese. What is that? Like, you're like talking about
No, Mr. Give me attention. No, it's like, no, why? No.
I feel racist.
Hey, Preston, I know what you did wrong on that one question.
Yeah, because none of us will figure it out.
I do have extras. Does that have somebody's name in it?
No. No, say it.
You ready to learn? I don't know what you guys learning about.
Oh, we do.
Nathan, are you supporting me? Are you supporting
It's still the same thing.
No.
0,
I
negative.
knew I was going for what the questions were. I was saying.
Right, right. Okay, this is
Equation.
oh, that's the wrong one. I wonder why.
Jacob, no.
No.
Yeah, hold on to that.
46 questions on the new one?
Sad.
And then when you
What
equal
would be the x-intercepts?
if you equal it to 0, it would be negative.
Because you were looking at the
I was
picture.
looking at the group. Zero, negative 3.
So it would be the same as this number here?
No, wait. Hold on.
I mean, negative a squared. That will be the y.
This would actually be negative a. So that should be negative.
You're welcome. Hi. What's up?
I just need something. I'm not out of my way. Can you move?
It was a little.
Hi, you guys. You had big ideas. I did answer a few questions from people. I really tried more.
I had a question, but I was afraid to turn.
Reference, like if you do have questions on big ideas, like you can just wait to submit it so you can ask me questions. That's not a problem.
There was an
You don't know, submit it.
I know my staff was. Yeah, but I tried. I tried last night and I tried next month.
What's the day?
Not only to.
Austin, is there one on your desk?
No.
Why don't you like that?
Still doing it.
Wait, did you did you log out and like,
I don't know. Like, I logged out of.
oh my gosh, this has been recording the whole time.